Good evening and thanks for joining us for an abridged version of Nationwide this Friday. This is to enable us to link up with our Benin Network Center for Edo sites on the network service. I'm Elizabeth Omori with the news. President Muhammad Buhari has advised political parties, candidates and security agents to behave responsibly in the forthcoming Edo State governorship election. The president, in a message to voters, political parties, election officials and security personnel, reiterated his commitment to free and fair election and the need for other actors to abide by the rules. President Buhari expressed his desire for the democratic standards in the country raised higher at every level, but this cannot be achieved when politicians resort to do-or-die methods to gain power. He noted that do-or-die mentality to politics is a threat to free and fair elections and appealed to all political parties and their candidates to behave peacefully and respect law and order. Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police IGP Mohammed Adamu has ordered the restriction of vehicular movement from 11:59 p.m. on Friday, 18th of September 2020 to 6 p.m. on Saturday, 19th of September 2020 in an effort to ensure public order and safety during the forthcoming Edo gubernatorial election this Saturday. The IGP notes that the restriction order is informed by the need to prevent the free flow, circulation and use of illicit arms and hard drugs and checkmate the movement of political thugs and other criminally minded individuals, especially from adjoining states, from hijacking and disrupting electoral processes. Noting that the police and other security agencies have been sufficiently mobilized to provide a conducive environment for the election. Similarly, the Corps Marshal Federal Road Safety Corps Dr. Boboye Oyemi has ordered operatives of the Corps drafted to cover the election to collaborate with the Nigeria Police Force and other sister agencies in the enforcement of restrictions on vehicular movement. The Corps personnel drafted to cover the election have equally been mandated to clear obstructions from the roads, carry out rescue operations in case of emergencies, maintain orderliness in polling booths, and certify INEC vehicles that will be used to convey electoral materials. Still on the election, the Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of research and planning at the Force Headquarters, Abuja, Adeleye Olushola Oyebade, has assured the electorate in Edo State of their safety during Saturday's election. Speaking on NTA's program, Good Morning Nigeria, DIG Oyebade maintained that the police will not hesitate to deal with anyone who tries to disrupt the Edo governorship election. Alika Okpanachi Arua reports.
DIG said the police has mapped out and reviewed flashpoints and will tackle any challenges as the need arises.
We have decided to make sure that we make this election a litmus test that will give other elections credible, that will make further elections credible and not anybody to take election for granted in this country.
Program Manager Yaga Africa, Paul James, cautioned against excessive show of force by security personnel in order not to discourage voters from coming out to vote.
We want to see sanction, and that has been the issue also with elections in the past, that the authorities are not doing enough in terms of sanction. We are hoping the police this time will name and shame whoever violates our electoral laws.
Other guests on the program canvassed the adoption of conflict resolution mechanism to address issues that might arise during and after the election.
There is a sense to which the show of force is impacting positively. Maybe going forward, as our political culture develops, as elections become routine, and as every stakeholder plays his own role, the police might consider, playing less emphasis on it. But as it is, we have no recourse than to do that.
For all stakeholders in the Nigerian project, and we hope to see that Nigeria turns out to be one of the most envied democracies around the world. But again, there are a lot of issues and questions that must be addressed before we can take this throne.
They also appealed to the electorate in Edo to comply with all COVID-19 safety protocols. In Abuja, Alika Okpanachi, Arua, NTA News.
We now join Obey Otobo Apresai live in Benin for an update on preparations for tomorrow's election. Obey, if you can hear me clearly, what is the situation there regarding Edo election?
This is Orek Benin Market. Yes.
All right, we'll be joining Obey later. Time now to join Dotun Ogunyemi in Lagos for more reports on Nationwide. Hello, Dotun.
Thank you, Elizabeth. The Nigeria Christian Pilgrim Commission, NCPC, says it is ready to commence pilgrimage to Jerusalem and Rome in December. The Executive Secretary, Reverend Yakubu Palm, stated this at an interactive session with Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu on the Commission's plan for Christian pilgrimage in Nigeria for the year 2020. Nosa Usula reports.
The Executive Secretary announced that in spite of the devaluation of the Naira, the Commission has reduced the cost of this year's pilgrimage to 710,000 Naira instead of the 850,000 Naira, acknowledged that the trips to Jerusalem and Rome have been impacting positively on Nigerians.
On NCPC, we are ready to partner with you on many projects that we have lined up, but we're here on a one-day sensitization to build up our momentum to travel by the grace of God this year, December.
In his response, Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who acknowledged the place of religion in the success of his government's programs, reiterated his administration's commitment to improve the quality of life of Lagosians.
We're building a rail, we're building another one, we're expanding the waterways, we're encouraging people not to just use the road, but to use the waterways, and by the grace of God, when we also complete the rail infrastructure. And we're not only doing it in transportation, we're creating it tomorrow for them.
Meanwhile, the Executive Secretary earlier held a meeting with the Christian pilgrimage operators to improve service delivery and sensitize intending pilgrims to comply with international COVID-19 safety protocols. In Lagos, Nosa Usula, NTA News.
The Kora Book Trek Outreach Program of the Committee for Relevant Art recently hosted a former governor of Ogun State, Segun Oshoba, at a virtual meeting of its second book trek series. Uzezi Arure reports that Oshoba analyzed the chapters of his book on Nigeria's political history from his wealth of experience as a leader and media practitioner.
The Committee for Relevant Arts, KORA, recently featured Aremu Olusegun Oshoba, a newsman and two-time former governor of Ogun State, together with journalists, editors, authors and politicians at its Book Trek series Zoom conversation. The outreach program discussed Oshoba's new autobiographic work, Battle Lines, Adventures in Journalism and Politics.
Too often in our environment, books, let alone an important book like Battle Lines, which engage significant milestones in the nation's 60-year history, don't get enough airplay.
You said in the book that the best accolade you can ever have is to be called a reporter. Would like for you to read the first 6 paragraphs of Abiola chapter.
Awolowo agreed to forgive Abiola and even prayed for him. Faith beckoned on him to toss his heart into the political arena.
According to the author, the book will encourage and inspire other journalists to record their own experiences to foster nationhood. Aremu Olusegun Oshoba also spoke about his thoughts on history and its preservation through documentation. He also had words of wisdom for the younger generation who are not really conversant with the history of Nigeria.
It is important that they should read and know that we didn't get this democracy just by chance.
Oshoba was the first journalist to report on the state of the corpse of late Premier Tafawa Balewa, as well as that of Okoti Ebo, the finance minister. In Lagos, Uzezi Arure, NTA News.
Let's now take a break. Elizabeth will be back with more reports on Nationwide.
Thanks for staying with us. Let's now join Obey Otoba Presai live in Benin for an update on preparations for tomorrow's election. Obey, if you can hear me loudly, what is the situation there regarding Edo election?
Well, the atmosphere here is quite calm, perhaps feeding off the weather here in Benin. We are experiencing a sunny weather, and it has been like this for 2 days now. Prior to this, we had 3 days of consistent downpour, and of course the residents here, I am at New Benin, one of the commercial hub in the city. The residents here are taking advantage to do their shopping, and apart from their PVCs, for other requirements that they will need to go to the polling centers tomorrow. Also, I've had the opportunity of speaking with some of the passers-by here, and they say they are hopeful that the weather will be replicated tomorrow, that we will experience this kind of sunny weather tomorrow to make things go well. Well, I may not be so sure of the outcome of the weather tomorrow, but what I am sure of is the fact that INEC has told us that they are ready for the election, and currently they have dispensed the sensitive materials to the 18 local government area. I'm sure right about now that task is 90% completed. We also know that the police, they had a show of force yesterday, and the 31,000 police officers that are deployed from various states to Edo for the election have been sent to their various areas where they will be observing security
are the people
during
preparing?
The election.
Obey, how are the people preparing?
Well, I've had the opportunity, like I said earlier, to speak with some of them. They say they are ready for tomorrow. It is a major election, the governorship election, and they say they are ready. Let me quickly add here that today is a work-free day, and so the civil servants are among the ones here in this market taking the opportunity to shop and go about preparing for the election. I want to also quickly add that the traffic situation is a bit hectic, as is expected, as people are rushing to their various areas where they will be voting tomorrow.
All right, Obey, I want to thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the update.
I'm sure, Elizabeth, I will have...
Thank you very much, Obey. Moving on, the federal government is reviewing the imposed restriction of travel ban for Europe and other nations of the world, which was done to contain coronavirus pandemic. This was the outcome of the meeting between European Union ambassadors and the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19. Usman Ali reports.
As partners in development, Europe and Nigeria have been in deep concerns about restrictions of movements, among them which was as a result of the global health crisis of the coronavirus. And so a meeting of this nature is to share views on safer decisions for the benefit of all.
Our positions are not cast in stone. They are reviewable. We've taken on board some very useful information and statistics today. And we will also, be reviewing on the access that we will give to European carriers and other carriers, for that matter, coming into Nigeria.
Everybody must show a certificate of PCR negative test and then pay, if you like, for another test on arrival at any time you like to confirm that they're not importing COVID-19 into your country, which is actually the purpose.
We want them to do business and continue doing business. Air France KLM has been in Nigeria since 1946, which is a huge point. There is no carrier that has that record into the country.
The European Union on its part says it is not juxtaposed by the Nigeria stand.
Merely what Europe has done is exactly the same that Nigeria has done, namely looking at very carefully what essential groups of people should come in at time of crisis.
Europe is Nigeria's largest partner in the aviation sector. In Abuja, Usman Aliu, NTA News.
And Sadia in Sokoto has the next set of reports on Nationwide. Hello, Sadia.
Elizabeth, Sokoto State government is to construct 3 earth dams to prevent reoccurrence of flood in the state. The state governor Amin Waziri Tambuwal said this while on a sympathy visit to flood-affected communities in Kebe and Silame local governments. The latter Abdullahi reports.
A portion of the road by the Silame Bridge was cut off along Silame-Gande Road, causing serious damage in about 50 villages, while many farmlands and domestic animals were washed away. Also cut off is a portion of the road linking Margai with Kebe by Kawa Bridge. Communities were totally cut off from cities, relations, and the leftover of their farmlands. Sympathizing with the affected communities, the Sokoto State Governor Amin Waziri Tambuwal said government will construct 3 additional earth dams in the areas worst affected.
We are still working towards establishing 3 other dams. We have gone far on Rabah. We are going to do one in Silame by the grace of God, and one in between Gindi and Kebe, that's Margai Gindi, inshallah.
Experts from NEMA, SEMA, and other relevant agencies are busy collecting data on the extent of damage by the flood across the state for urgent response. Records show that SEMA had so far received reports on the occurrence of flood in 18 out of the 23 local governments of the state. In Sokoto, Dalat Abdullahi, NTA News.
Now, National Hajj Commission has introduced a savings scheme and training institute. The Executive Chairman, National Hajj Commission, Zikrullah Olakunle Hassan, made the disclosure while on a visit to Sultan Muhammad Saad Abubakar in Sokoto. Sheikh Muhammad Detti reports.
The non-performance of the year 2020 pilgrimage by intending pilgrims outside the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia due to COVID-19 pandemic may be a blessing to Nigerians. Intending pilgrims in Nigeria will soon have a cause to smile as the new leadership of the Hajj Commission introduces Hajj Savings Scheme. For the Executive Chairman of the Commission, Zikrullah Olakunle, it is time to diversify ways of paying Hajj fare to make it easy and affordable for all. With the introduction of the savings scheme, Zikrullah said Nigerians will no longer cry out over a higher rate of Hajj fare. While soliciting for the support and cooperation of the Sultan, the new leadership, he said, is determined to make reforms.
For any person who seriously wants to be involved in Hajj today must have an above average knowledge of travel industry.
Sultan Muhammad Saad Abubakar challenged the new executives to rise up to their responsibilities. He called for more measures to consolidate the successes recorded by the Commission since its establishment.
We're all stakeholders, and there's no doubt about it. We're all very, very committed to doing our jobs.
The new executive chairman of the National Hajj Commission also called on Governor Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, where he solicited for government support. Governor Aminu Waziri Tambuwal expressed hope that the new savings scheme will benefit Nigerians. In Sokoto, Sheikh Muhammad Detti, NTA News.
And that's it from Sokoto. It's back to Elizabeth in Abuja.
Thank you so much. The Nigerian Air Force has distributed oxygen cylinders to 2 COVID-19 isolation centers in Abuja, adding to the list of centers which are already benefiting nationwide. Correspondent Najat Tijani has details.
More than 140 cylinders of liquid oxygen, or LOX, produced by the Nigerian Air Force Liquid Oxygen Plant at the 103 Strike Group Yola were flown in by a Nigerian Air Force aircraft for onward distribution to the University of Abuja Teaching Hospital and the DSS Medical Center, Sokoro.
This is to enhance civil-military relations, and this is to let Nigerians know that wherever they are, the Air Force is ready. Let them just give us the empty cylinders and we will take them, fill them and deliver back to them.
On behalf of the beneficiaries, we sincerely want to appreciate the efforts of the Chief of Air Staff for this initiative. We still have people out there that feel that this COVID-19 is a hoax. It's sincerely not a hoax.
The NAF-LOX plant has a capacity of 1,000 liters of liquid oxygen every 8 hours, which is in excess of the NAF's requirements for its air operations and for use in its medical centers across the nation. The Chief of the Air Staff says it is one of the many ways the Nigerian Air Force is supporting the federal government's fight against COVID-19. Naja'atu Tijani, NTA News.
More funding is required to ameliorate existing gaps of humanitarian needs of people and communities affected by insurgency in northeast Nigeria. House of Representatives Committee on Northeast Development Commission, led by Chairperson Khadijat Bukar Abba Ibrahim, gave a submission during an oversight function to monitor projects and operations of the Commission in Borno State. Mohammed Ibrahim reports.
Members of the House of Representatives Committee on Health Institutions, led by its chairman Pascal Obi, were received by the Chief Medical Director, Professor Darlington Obaseki. They proceeded on a guided tour of ongoing projects in the hospital, which include NHIS complex, renal dialysis building, and the House Officers' Quarter.
He has full cooperation and understanding of his members of staff and management, and that's why they have been able to record this level of progress.
The legislators also had audience with management and staff of the hospital. Professor Obaski says despite challenges, especially that of low funding, the hospital under his administration has witnessed meaningful development within a short period of its inception.
We already have a functional hospital. When we talk about hand washing, talk about hygiene, talk about infection prevention control. These are things we were already doing.
The visit affords staff an opportunity to interact with the legislators and also highlight some grey areas that are in need of legislative urgent attention. The committee assured them of timely interventions in order to sustain what it described as impressive staff performance. The legislators also visited Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital in Oselu. In Benin, Adogbeji Ojegba, NTA News.
The House of Representatives Committee on Health Institutions has expressed satisfaction with the management of the University of Benin Teaching Hospital and Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital in Benin over what they described as effective utilization of federal appropriated funds. Adogbeji Adoje reports that the committee was on oversight functions tour of the hospital.
Commission NEDC was established in 2019 by the federal government to receive and manage funds allocated for human and infrastructural needs of communities devastated by the Boko Haram insurgency. The House Committee on Oversight Duties of the NEDC operations in the last 1 year, conducted around by the Managing Director Mohammed Goni Alkali, assessed the first phase of completed 100 houses at Ngom, Mafa local government area of Borno State. The next phase, construction of another 100, is underway out of a total of 10,000 housing program earmarked for the state as approved by President Buhari. The legislators also interacted with IDPs in camps at Customs House, Muna and Mohammed Goni Stadium, where they also inspected a clinic constructed by the commission. A leader of IDPs, Muhammad Abacha, informed the delegation of shortage of food supplies amidst other challenges of insufficient medication and classroom for school-age children. Chairman of the committee, Khadija Bukar Abba Ibrahim, assured the displaced communities of government intervention, which the committee will facilitate.
I must admit that they're grossly underfunded. Then we'll do what we can to see that more money is appropriated to the commission to carry out these things that need to be done.
The members also inspected a warehouse where they directed NEDC to expedite action to distribute the food items to the needy in the camps visited, as well as the newly acquired and constructed offices and staff accommodation. In Maiduguri, Muhammad Ibrahim, NTA News.
And that ends Nationwide today. Our Edo The Site studio opens shortly. I'm Elizabeth Omori.